quick linking. Everyone over here now. We started learning GST with goods or service. Goods or service has to be supplied. Supply can be either interstate supply or supply can be either intrastate supply. Interstate supply, I GST will be levied. Intrastate, C GST will be levied. Once GST gets levied, GST has to be collected and paid. Just a second. Collected and paid by whom? Taxable person. How will he collect? How will he pay? He will calculate GST is equal to value of supply into rate of tax. Once you know the value, you will prepare the tax invoice, credit note, debit note, and delivery challan. Once you prepare the tax invoice, you will go ahead and maintain your accounts and records, and you will send the goods to the other person with the help of a e-way bill. Now government tells Ramesh, you went ahead and generated the invoice, you maintained your account, you sent the goods also, please pay your GST, and hence now your bad time will come, which is called the liability to pay GST will come, and liability to pay always comes at the time of supply. Is my point clear to all? Always remember, when do you become liable to pay? You always become liable to pay on your time of supply. That time when you become liable to pay is called time of supply. Everyone over here now. Sir, time of supply, we are going to learn three sections. Section number 12, section number 13, and section number 14. Sir, what kind of a chapter? B graded chapter. B graded chapter. Everyone over here now, listen carefully. Sir, section number 12 and section number 13. Section number 12 goes at 12 has 12.1, 12.2, 12.3, section number 12.4, 12.5, and section number 12.6. Same 13 also has 13.1 to 13 subsection 6, and then we have section number 14. Section number 12, when you learn section number 12.1, section number 12.1 just goes ahead and says, when do you become liable to pay? You will become liable to pay the tax on your goods shall arise at the time of supply. It just says that you will become liable to pay at the time of supply. Then we have, sir, how do we find out time of supply? You become liable to pay at the time of supply. How do we find out time of supply? That is told by section number 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Because, no, you become liable when? At the time of supply. That is told by section number 12.1. Now let's go ahead and find out the time of supply. Section number 12.2 talks about forward charge mechanism. So if you are a supplier, when will you pay GST? If you are a supplier if you are a supplier and you have to go ahead and pay the GST, when will you pay the GST? It says earlier of date of issue of invoice. So for an example, I issued one invoice on 1st of January. Then they are telling, or the last date to issue invoice. In the tax invoice ka chapter, we went ahead and understood what is the last day you should go ahead and issue the invoice. Sir, in case of movement at the time of removal, otherwise in case of delivery or making it available. Sir, if there is successive statement at the time of statement, or at the time of payment is received. In case of approval, when the approval is given, or 6 months from the date of removal, whichever is earlier, remember. So supposingly, I went ahead and removed the goods from my office on 25th of December, but I made the invoice on 1st of January. Okay, everyone? Or it shall be always the date of receipt of payment. Payment received date is always book entry or credit in the bank account, whichever is earlier. Payment, Baba, I am a supplier. I will receive the payment. You gave me the check today. Tomorrow it got credited. It will be today or tomorrow, whichever is earlier. Supposingly, you gave me the payment on 25th of February. What will be the time of supply, everyone? It will be whichever is earlier. Are we clear, everyone? But then, people went ahead and told, sir, what if this guy would have gone ahead and given me the advance on 25th of November only? So government went ahead and told, in case of supplier of goods, you are not required to pay GST on advance, and hence government went ahead and deleted this. But you don't delete anything. Listen carefully now. So tell me one thing, in case of supplier of goods, what is the time of supply? date of invoice, last date to issue invoice, or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. But then government went ahead and told, in case of supplier of goods, they are not required to pay GST on advance, and hence it will be date of invoice or last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. This is the notification which government went ahead and issued. Notification number 66/2017, Central Tax. Government notified that a supplier of goods as the class of person who shall pay GST at the time of supply as per section number 12(2). A means date of invoice or last date to issue invoice. However, it is not applicable in case of what, everyone? Other than the person supplying specified actionable claim. What is specified actionable claim, everyone? Lottery, betting, gambling, horse race, casino, online money gaming. In this case, government went ahead and told, if you are a supplier of what? Actionable claim. In that case, to Baba, on receipt of advance also you have to pay the GST. And that is why it is date of invoice, last date to issue invoice, or date of receipt of payment, whichever is. So people, can I go ahead and ask you one thing? When will you go ahead and pay the GST? If you are a supplier of, normally a supplier of goods, date of invoice or last date to issue invoice, whichever is earlier. So date of invoice or last date to issue invoice in case of normal cases. But if you are a supplier of actionable claim, then everyone, date of invoice or last date to issue invoice or date of receipt of payment. It means if you are a supplier of actionable claim, you have to pay GST on advance, whichever is earlier. The next one over here is RCM. People, you supplied me BD leaves. Agriculture supplied me BD leaves. I have to pay GST under RCM. When? The date of receipt of goods or the day I made the payment, book entry or debit, whichever is earlier, or date immediately following 30 days from the date of invoice or other document by the supplier. Tell me one thing, there is an agriculturist. Agriculturist went ahead and supplied me the BD leaves. Agriculturist supplied me what, everyone? BD leaf. I have to pay the GST under RCM. When? The date of receipt of goods or the day I went ahead and made the payment, or if he would have gone ahead and given me an invoice. Supposingly, he gave me an invoice on 1st of January. Okay, I'll go ahead and give you a little tough. 15th of January. Can you tell me when will be this day? Date immediately following 30 days from date of invoice or other document by the supplier. Can you tell me date immediately following 30 days means what? 31st day. Can you tell me when will that date be? Can you tell me 31st day from the date of invoice by the supplier will be what date? January, how many days? 31 days. First day, always delete. Delete 15 days. How many days in January? How many days you need more? 14 days, then it will become 30. You need the next day of 30 days. It is the 31st day. So, sir, you need 15 days. Can you tell me it will be 15th of February? Is my point clear to all? This will be 15th of February. People watching at home, very good, very good, very good. People over here, are we all clear? Next. Everyone over here, listen, date of, see, if I am a person, one agriculturist went ahead and supplied me the goods and have to pay GST under RCM. When? Date of receipt of goods, the date of payment, or 31st day. Actually, it is date following 30 days. Date following 30 days is which day? 31st day. In your exam, don't write 31st day, write date following 30 days from the date of invoice given by the supplier, whichever is earlier. Sir, supposingly, I have yet not received the goods. I have yet not made the payment. Supplier is an agriculturist. He did not give invoice also. But I have already ordered for the goods and I am making one entry in my books of account. Sir, BD leaves purchase account debit to agriculturist. The day you pass the entry, that day will be your liability date. Remember, if all the three dates are not available, proviso says clause A, B, C not available, then book entry date in the books of the recipient. Will I make an entry? Purchase of BD leaves purchase account debit to agriculturist. Payable ka entry will I write? That day only will be your bad day. Can I go ahead, everyone? The next one over here, voucher. Voucher ka case may always remember, if the supply is the supply identifiable on the issue of voucher. Supposingly, I went ahead and issued one voucher to you. I went ahead and issued one voucher. Now, when I issue the voucher, I don't know what are you going to buy. Then I should wait for you to come and redeem, and that time I should pay GST to the government. So if I issued you a voucher where the supply is identifiable, then the date of issue of voucher will become the time of supply. For an example, Reliance Footprint. Reliance Footprint went ahead and issued a voucher. The date of issue, or sir, if I don't know, then it will be always the redemption date. So if I issued a voucher, I know what are you going to buy. Then the date of issue will be the time of supply. If I don't know what are you going to buy, when you come and actually buy, that time will be the time of supply, the redemption date. Can I go ahead, everyone? The next one over here is residuary case. People, can you tell me what did I tell you till now? Section number 12.1. Liability will come on the time of supply. Forward charge mechanism, when will your liability come? Date of invoice, last date to issue invoice, or date of receipt of payment. But date of receipt of payment is only applicable in case of actionable claim. Can I go ahead, everyone? Next, sir, reverse charge mein, the date of receipt of goods, date of payment, or 31st day from the date of invoice given by the supplier, whichever is earlier. In case of voucher, if the supply is identifiable, the date of issue. If supply is not identifiable, redemption date. Sir, the next one is residuary case. What is residuary case killing? If this is not applicable, if this is also not applicable, if this is also not applicable, in your case, supposingly all the three is not there, but you are a registered person and you have to pay some GST to the government. When will the liability come? Government is telling if any place may any such case comes, residuary clause government put saying, sir, are you a registered person? I told yes. The day you are filing your return, that day is your bad day, pay and file. That day only is your liability date. But sir, if I am an unregistered person, for an example, one investigation happened in my place. Taxable person liable to pay. Caught in an investigation. I did not take registration. I told, who will come to know? It means I am unregistered. But I am still liable to pay GST. They are going ahead and telling, you want to pay and close the case. For you, the time of supply will be the date of payment of tax. The day you pay, that day only is your bad day. People, tell me one thing. If I am a registered person falling in residuary case, the due date of return is my time of supply. If I am an unregistered person, the day I am making the payment, because I am not liable to file return, the day I am making the payment, that day only is my liability date. Again, interest, penalty and late fee. For an example, I went ahead and issued one invoice to you today in the month of January. In the month of March, I charged you some interest. I gave you a debit note and I charged you some interest. What is the liability date for the interest? The month of receipt. The day you receive it, that day you become liable. If you don't receive, don't become liable. Says, interest, penalty and late fee, the date of receipt of interest, penalty and late fee. Sir, if you did not receive, don't pay. If I received interest, penalty and late fee, the day I received, I'll become liable to pay. Can we go ahead, everyone? Next. Time of supply, in case of goods, we already went ahead and understood. People, in case of goods, what did we understand? You will become liable to pay on the time of supply. In case of supplier, normally, with me, everyone, the date of invoice or last date to issue invoice or date of receipt of payment. Date of receipt of payment is not applicable for normal supplier, only in case of actionable claim. Reverse charge, date of receipt of goods, date of payment, 31st day from the date of invoice given by the supplier. Voucher, supply identifiable, date of issue. Supply not identifiable, redemption. Residuary case, due date of return, registered person, due date of return. Unregistered person, date of payment. IPL, date of receipt. Received, then pay. Did not receive, then don't pay. Can I go ahead, everyone? Next. In case of services now, time of supply in case of services. Everyone over here. Same in case of services. Section number 13(1) goes ahead and says, your liability to pay tax on the service, your liability will come when? At the time of supply. Let's go ahead and find out the time of supply. In case of section number 13(2) talks about forward charge mechanism. If I am a supplier of service, when do I have to pay GST? They are telling supplier's point of view say you first have to see is the invoice issued on time. Can you tell me supplier of service when they issue the invoice? 30 days or 45 days. In case of NBFI it is 45 days. Sir, in case of continuous supply of service, due date ascertainable on or before due date. Due date not ascertainable on or before payment. Payment linked to completion on or before completion of the event. Can I go ahead, everyone? Remember, this is very, very important from exam point of view. In case of services, they generally ask about time of supply. Now, listen to me very carefully. For an example, I am a supplier of service. I am a supplier of service. When will I go ahead and issue the invoice? Within 30 days. Supposingly, this is the date of provisioning of service. Within 30 days, I should issue the invoice. I issued the invoice over here and here I received the payment. Always remember invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. If I did not issue the invoice on time, then always it is invoice. You will not see the invoice. Now it will be payment or date of providing the service, whichever is earlier. Always remember, if invoice is on time, invoice or payment, whichever is earlier. If you did not issue the invoice on time, the day you provided the service or the day you received the payment, whichever is earlier. Everyone over here, see. Is the invoice on time? If your answer is yes, then section number 13(2)(a) says date of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, if the invoice is not issued on time, then no, then they are going ahead and telling the date of provisioning of service or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Everyone over here, now tell me one thing. In case of services, when you receive advance, are you liable to pay GST? 1 second, everyone, just a second. In case of services, if you are going ahead and receiving an advance, just a second. Just a second. Okay, everyone here now. Okay, where did it go? People watching at home, I'd pause the video, continuing again. Everyone over here now. Tell me one thing. In case of advances, do you have to pay GST in case of services? Yes or no? Now, but always remember, if it is small advance, up to what everyone? 1,000 rupees, then you can pay on the date of issue of invoice. The day you receive the advance, if the advance is only 500 rupees, you don't have to pay any GST on advance. Government is telling, hey, beggar go, 500 rupees and all, I don't want GST on advance. You pay when you are issuing the invoice. Next, sir, you know what, everyone? I went ahead and gave deep cleaning services. I am giving what, everyone? Cleaning services. Okay? Sanjay is there. Sanjay is a registered person. He told, sir, in my office, can you do the cleaning? I did the cleaning in his office. You know what I did? Date of invoice. I told, hey, Sanjay, you are my friend. I did not give invoice. Date of providing the service. How will government come to know when did I do cleaning in his office? Correct or not? Then, date of providing of service is not there. And date of receipt of payment, I took in cash and kept in my pocket. Over. Did not pay the GST to the government. What is my time of supply? You know what happened? One day, Sanjay ka books of accounts mein investigation happened. And government asked Sanjay, Sanjay, to whom did you make this payment? Sanjay told Ramesh Soni ko I made this payment. Government came and told me, Ramesh, Sanjay made a payment of 10,000 to you. And Sanjay is telling you did not give him the invoice. Why you did not give him the invoice? Now government will catch my neck and say, the day Sanjay passed the entry, that day is my bad day and I'll become liable to pay. Is my point clear to all? So if you are not falling in this case or this case, remember one thing. 13(2) says, C says what? Your time of supply. Whose time of supply? Supplier ka time of supply will be based on books of a book entry date of the recipient. Sanjay would have passed an entry. Cleaning expenses to cash. That day is my bad day. I'll become liable on what date, everyone? As per his books of account, the day when he passed the entry, I will have to pay the GST. Generally, these cases don't come, but still, government went ahead and made this entry. If by chance it comes, it will be dealt like this. Next. People, tell me one thing. In case of services, when do you become liable? In case of services, when do you become liable? Date of invoice or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. If invoice is not on time, date of providing of service, date of provisioning of service, or date of receipt of payment, whichever is earlier. Sir, if all these are not there, then take book entry date of the recipient. Sir, in case of reverse charge mechanism, in case of goods, you take date of receipt of goods, date of payment, or 31st day from the date of invoice given by the supplier. Yes or no, everyone? In case of goods? In case of services, when you have to pay GST under RCM, no, the date of receipt of service is not there because services are intangible. Okay, everyone, date of receipt of service is not there. Date of payment is there in case of service also. 31st will become 61st day from the date of invoice given by the supplier. Remember, in case of reverse charge mechanism, tell me one thing. Director gave me the service, I am the company, I have to pay GST under RCM. When? Date of payment, the day I made the payment to him. It will be book entry date or debit in my bank account, whichever is earlier, or date immediately following 60 days from the date of invoice or other document given by the whichever is earlier. Can you tell me 61st day from the date of invoice given by the supplier, everyone? If I tell this is 15th of February, can you tell me which is the 61st day? Supplier gave me the invoice on 15th of February. Can you tell me which is the 61st day? Array, year, 61st day, why do you need year? Okay. That is why I am asking. Everyone remember one thing. In the exam, unless they don't tell you, never ask leap year and all. Always February has 28 days only. Always February has how many days? 28 days. Never ask 28 days or 29 days, year. They are not testing your knowledge. Which year is leap year? Are we clear, everyone? Always remember, how many days, everyone? 28 days only. 28 days only. Okay, everyone? Unless told otherwise in the question. If the question told you this year is a leap year, then take 29. Otherwise, always 28. Can I go ahead, everyone? Now tell me, Baba. February, how many days? 28 days. How many days remaining? 13. Remember, first day always delete. Last day always include. First day always delete. Last day always include. February 13, March 31, April 13 plus this thing is 44. You need 17 more days. So February, March, April. 17th of April. How many of you got it, everyone? Got it? Chalo, very good. Everyone over here. Sir, both these clauses are not available. For an example, director gave me the services. Director gave me the service. Sir, I have yet to make the payment and director is yet to give me the service. Yet to give me the bill. Director is yet to give me the bill and I am yet to make the payment. But sir, he has already given the service, so I pass the entry. Director services to payable. Ram, the director, payable. Payable country I already passed. The day I pass the payable country, that day will become my time of supply. Everyone, it says what? Clause A and B not available. Then book entry date of the recipient, that is the expense entry date, will become the time of supply. Everyone listen. Can you tell me, generally, importation of service pay, do you have to pay GST under RCM? Are importation of service, do you have to pay GST under RCM? Yes. Which clause will be applicable? General clause only, this one. This one only. But if you import services from whom? Associate enterprise. If you are importing from whom? Associate enterprise, which is outside India, then remember, it will be date of payment or entry in the books of account, whichever is earlier. You will not take 61st day. You will take what, everyone? The day you made your book entry. The payable country when you record, whichever is earlier. Only in case of what? Associate enterprises. Today at home, this import wala you will do one question and go. I think Mint Industries, one question is there. Must be there in your ICA material. Mint Industries, you will see. Okay, everyone? There will be one or two questions. In your book, it will be there. Whichever teacher ka book you are following, please do this associate enterprise ka question and go. Okay, everyone? Next. 13.4, 13.5 and 36. Same as goods. Everyone over here now. Please come to section number 14. Section number 14. Time of supply in case of change in rate of tax. Everyone over here. Change in rate of tax. For an example, everyone here. I did one supply. Supply done here. Okay. Earlier the rate of rate change happened here. Earlier it was 18%. Now it is 12%. I did the supply over here. If goods and service supplied before, here is the invoice, here is the payment, which rate will apply? Are you guys able to understand? So that is what is being told over here, that sir, whenever there is a rate change, Always you have to remember goods and services, if they are supplied before the rate change, you have to see two cases. Either the goods and service will be supplied before the rate change, or the goods and service might be supplied after the rate change. First we'll understand supplied before wala rate change. ठीक है everyone? Here. Goods and service supplied before the rate change. Sir, this is the rate change everyone. Ready? This is the rate change. Goods and service supplied before the rate change. ठीक है? Now you will have invoice also. You will have payment also. Always remember, this is the rate change ka date. Goods and service supplied before. You have to see if you are in the before wala case. No. Is the invoice before or payment before? What is before? With supply, what is there? Invoice, no. So time of supply will be date of invoice. And that old rate will apply. People over here, this is the rate change. Goods and service supplied before. Along with before, if invoice is there, then date of invoice becomes the time of supply. And that day, what is the rate? Old rate will apply. Supposingly, if I go ahead and tell you goods and service supplied before, invoice is after, but payment is before. Can you tell me with the supply what is attached? Payment. So date of payment will become your time of supply. People, goods and service supplied before, payment is before, invoice is after. Payment is before, invoice is after. What is attached to the supply? Payment. Date of payment and old rate will apply. Can I go ahead everyone? Did you guys get the thought? Sir, goods and service supplied before. Goods and service supplied before the rate change. Invoice also after. Payment also after. In these two, whichever is earlier and after, no, so after wala rate, new rate will apply. Is my point clear to all? Invoice after. See, goods and service supplied before, but invoice is after, payment is also after, then date of invoice or date of payment, whichever is earlier and new rate. People with me, everyone. I want to ask you. Goods and service supplied before. Invoice is before, payment is after. Date of invoice and old rate or new rate? Old rate. Goods and service supplied before. Payment is before, invoice is after. Date of payment and old rate. Goods and service supplied before. Invoice is also after, payment is also after. Whichever is earlier and after wala rate. Got it? Next. Goods and service supplied after the rate change. Goods and service supplied. Now here. After. Goods and service supplied after. You have to see what is after. Invoice is after or payment is after. Invoice, then date of invoice and after wala rate. Did you guys get it? Goods and service supplied after the rate change. Invoice is after, payment is before. Along with the supply, what is it attached? Invoice, so date of invoice and after wala rate. Chalo, I'll ask you next. Goods and service supplied after. Payment is after, invoice is before. Date of payment and what rate? New rate. After, invoice can be before, payment is after. What is after? Payment, so date of payment and after wala rate. Goods and service supplied after. Payment also before, invoice also before. Whichever is earlier and before wala rate. Whichever is earlier and old rate. Is my point 100% clear to all? Sure everyone? Next. People remember, if sometime it happens that you entered and did this calculation, if you entered and did this calculation and it is supplying of goods ka mamla, if it is supplying of goods ka case and you are required to pay GST on advance, then remember, don't pay the GST on advance. Supposingly, you are trying to find out the supply in case of rate change and because of the trying to find out the supply, it came date of payment and invoice is after. Remember, in case of goods to advance pay, you don't pay the GST. So you can pay the GST on the date of invoice, no problem. That is what is told. They told section number 148, special procedure applicable in case of section number 14. Also, supplier of goods need not pay the GST on advance. By chance, if you went ahead and found out, supposingly you are a supplier of goods. Okay? Here, invoice is after, payment is before. It means advance pay you have to pay GST. They went ahead and told not required. You can pay the GST when you raise the invoice. Can we go ahead everyone? Next. People on the right hand side now. One proviso is there over here. Proviso. People tell me one thing. Generally, date of receipt of payment is what? Book entry or credit, whichever is. Date of receipt of payment is what? Book entry or credit, whichever is earlier. Do you guys agree with me? Date of receipt of payment is book entry or credit, whichever is. But supposingly, okay, I'll tell you one thing. What people were doing, cheating. See, I am explaining this only. Listen, supposingly rate change happened over here. Here the rate was 12%. Here the rate became 18%. I did the supply over here. People, I did the supply. I received payment over here and invoice over here. Can you tell me which rate will apply? New rate, right? You know what people will do? Instead of taking the payment here, no, they will tell that person, do one thing, give me a check of old date. Give me a check. I will make my book entry saying that check was already received earlier. And then here I will say bank account got credited. Whichever is earlier. Which is earlier? This date or this date? Book entry. So can you tell me now what will be your time of supply? Goods supplied before. Payment before, invoice after. Date of payment. And hence this will become time of supply. And what rate will you charge? It means when you are issuing the invoice, you will charge only 12%. Did you cheat the government? Just by taking one old dated check. Yes or no, everyone? And hence you know what government went ahead and told. It will never be book entry or credit in the bank account, whichever is earlier. If, see here, rate change happened, no. If you have received a check, no, make sure within 4 days the check gets created in the bank. If within 4 days the check gets created, then it is book entry or credit, whichever is earlier. It means book entry will be taken as your date of payment. But if check got created after 8 working days, then it will be always date of credit in the bank account. Book entry will not be taken. Did you guys understand this? Sure, everyone? Tell me one thing. In this scenario, if I ask you, check was created in 3 working days in the bank, what will be your date of receipt of payment? Book entry. Do you guys agree? If check was created in 10 days, then bank account, this one. This one will not be considered and hence new rate will come. Am I clear to all? Clear? Shall I explain again? Got it? Got it? Chalo. Everyone listen. This chapter, although I am telling B graded, 12 to B graded, 12-3 B graded, 13 to A graded, 13-3, you know what? Normal import. Remember, normal import, it will always be what? Payment or 61st day. Import from whom? Associate enterprise always will be what? Date of payment or entry in the books of account. People, this is also A graded. I like it. You know what? Services ka case mein, please do 1 or 2 question on this one. Continuous supply of service. One question is there. It should be there in your book. Whichever teacher ka material you're referring my material or any other teacher. One continuous supply of service ka one question should be there. One person is making one building for one person. Then he has gone ahead and told first you pay 25%, then 75%, then 100%. Please refer 1 or 2 question on this. Please refer 1 or 2 question on this. Can I go ahead, everyone? Don't leave it and go. Section number 14, no. Section number 14, you will see in your book. Whichever teacher ka material you are following, if you are following my material may also question will be there. Any other teacher also you are following, please do 1 or 2 question and go. It is A plus from this chapter point of view. Although the chapter is B graded, but this point and this bank entry wala point is A plus graded. Wherever I see any point is very, very important, I have always tried my best to explain you also. Are we clear, everyone? I feel section number 14 is A plus, section number 13 is A graded, and section number 12 is B graded. People, all the other small section, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one are all C graded. Will you remember, everyone? I'll close my revision on the chapter of time of supply. But remember one thing, if time of supply, you don't do questions and you go for exam, bad luck, Baba. Bad luck, sheer bad luck. If you're not doing it, very, very bad luck. You'll not be able to do it in the exam. Can I go ahead and close my revision, everyone? I'll close my revision on the chapter of time of supply. Done, everyone.